Hi, and welcome to this session where we're going to present you two Microsoft solutions in education. We're going to talk about Microsoft Learn and also the Imagine Cup Junior. But before we do so, I think it's a good idea just to do a round of introductions. So Tina, would you like to begin?
Thanks, Alex, and hello everyone. My name's Tina. I'm the Business Strategy Lead for Azure Skills and Employability in the worldwide Microsoft Education team. So really excited to be with you all today.
And my name is Alexander Ariadne, and I'm the Future Ready Skills Lead for Microsoft Education in Western Europe.
Awesome. So Alex, as you said today, the plan is that we're going to share more on Microsoft Learn and also Imagine Cup Junior. So Microsoft Learn, an amazing free learning platform that educators and students can take advantage of. And then Imagine Cup Junior is a global challenge that students can take part in to start to put their learning into action. So to get started, would you like to give us an overview and a little look around Microsoft Learn?
Thank you, Tina. I would love to do so. So what we see here is the landing page for Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn is Microsoft's centralized hub for all our skilling resources. When we look at the site that you land on, you can see there are three main tiles that spring into your attention. First, we have the Learn on your own schedule tile, where you can browse all the learning options. There's a Become Certified tile, which is really relevant after you've taken a learning pathway on Microsoft Learn, because then there are corresponding certifications that you can acquire and display the knowledge you've gained. And then lastly, there's a Watch Live and recorded events. So all the events Microsoft are hosting related to skilling can be found underneath this tile. But let's look at the main part of this site. So if we click on Browse All Learning Activities, you can see we have 2095 results. So there's a lot of learning material to get started with here. It is constructed in a way so on Microsoft Learn you can find modules or learning pathways. Several modules make up a learning pathway, so modules are naturally shorter, more bite-sized tutorials, learning bits, and learning pathways are longer courses you can follow. If we look at this way it's structured here, we have on our left-hand side the filters. You can filter by products, so all the Microsoft products that you would like to skill up on, you can filter here and then find those learning pathways and modules on your right. You can filter by roles. You can filter, so say you want to be an app maker, then you can filter by that and find the learning material that will give you the knowledge you need to become an app maker. Then we have levels, so you can filter by beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels of courses, depending on where you are in your skilling journey. And then lastly, we can filter by learning pathways or modules. So those were the two different types I spoke about in the beginning. Then further to this, all these modules consist of several learning modes. So there's both text-based learning, audiovisual learning, and also actual hands-on exercises you can do directly through your browser. Let's take a look at what one of those sandboxes might look like. What we have here, and you can probably read this better than I, because this is in Portuguese and a great example of how we also have Microsoft Learn in several different languages. In this case here, we're going to learn about coding in the programming language of C#. If we go down here, we can see the different learning objectives we will be going through during this course, and one of them is an exercise called Hello World. If we click on that, we get an example of how the sandbox environment works in Microsoft Learn. You can read on the left-hand side your instructions of what to do, and then on your right-hand side, you have a .NET editor that you can actually copy and paste into, and then execute. So you actually also get a response, and that is your first learning step within C#, for instance.
That's amazing. And I love that you call out the interactivity within Learn, Alex. That's a great example that you've got students starting their first code. And the different levels of interactivity varies on which course you're doing. So in Azure Fundamentals, you could actually be within the Azure portal, building on Azure for free. You can get into Dynamics 365, deploying with M365 through videos. There's different ways that the students can actually experience what the technology is like and get hands-on, which I absolutely love. So something else that I like, you mentioned all those filters on the side. There is the ability to filter content that's tagged as relevant for students as well. So I know we've got some amazing content that we released where we contextualize technical learning to exciting topics to get students engaged at the start of their technology journey. In particular, I know we've got some also awesome learning in space modules. So I don't know if you want to take everyone through that.
So we'll go to aka.ms.learn for edu to find all the learning material that Microsoft has created for students. And if we look at this site, we can see that we have several different types of contextualized learning materials in relationship or in partnership with our partners. So here, for instance, we have a partnership with Netflix around their new series Over the Moon, where students can explore space and also new technologies. And if we just take a quick look at that, we can see here we have 3 modules within this learning pathway that all explores a different type of space exploration and also a space phenomenon and also a technology. So in the first one, you get introductions to Python using pandas. In the second module, you get Python and Visual Studio Code. And then lastly, it digs into the artificial intelligence space and recognizes objects and images by using custom vision services. So this is a really nice way of contextualizing the technology that you will be learning about. Microsoft for Education, however, is not only for students, but we have also developed an educator site. So on the tile furthest to the right, where it says, are you an educator? Educators can log in and access additional material around the different learning pathways that you can find on Learn. Right now, educators have access to 4 fundamental courses: AI fundamentals, Azure fundamentals, data fundamentals, and Power Platform fundamentals. And it allows educators to download content packs within each of these courses. And these content packs consists of PowerPoints, textbooks, learning handbooks, and course data sheets that breaks down the course in themselves, that makes it easier for educators to actually implement this course and this courseware into their teachings for their students.
That's great. Thanks, Alex, for that insight. Great to see all those things available for educators as well to get started delivering on our certifications. So a couple of features that I think are pretty cool that I'd like you to show is the ability to bookmark courses and then also creating custom collections for either your students or your social networks. So if you could start to do that, you could use a couple of these space courses as an example.
Right. So to begin with, in order to actually use these 2 logos we have down here on buttons, which are Bookmark and Collections, you need to log in. So let's say I wanted to create, so you need to log in here on the site and enter your profile. So I'll just do that quickly. Then if we go down here and look at the, for instance, explore space with Python Visual Studio Code, inspired by Netflix Over the Moon series, I can click on the plus and then add this to my collection. Now it says I don't have any collections yet, so I'll click New Collection. Call this Alexander's Space Collection and submit it. Then I can add this course to this new folder, and then I've added the first one. Then if we click here, I can go down, and then I can add the next courses as well to this, and then create my own collection. Now this is already part of a learning pathway, but if you find modules that are not a part of a learning pathway, or you would rather mix the modules up in your own custom-made learning pathways, well, then this is definitely the way to go. You can create your own collections and then share them to your students after you've created these collections. The other feature is the bookmark. And if you click on a bookmark, that saves this module for later purposes. So you go up to your profile, you click bookmarks, I apologize for it being Danish, and then you have the learn solutions, the learn modules or learning pathways right here that you can enter and start working on when you choose to.
That's great. Thanks, Alex. An awesome little look round Learn and a great introduction for everyone. I encourage you all to get started so you can set up your account today, ideally using your school Office 365 login, and you can get learning for free. So get hands-on, have a look at those sandbox environments, Filter by beginner if you're at the start of your journey, or if you're more advanced. The learning on Microsoft Learn is what people in the technology industry are using. So it goes all the way through to advanced. So wherever you are, you can get started on your learning journey with all of our Microsoft products.
That's right, Tina. But we also said we were going to share information on a global challenge that students can take part in as another way to get started with their learning. So
yes, I would absolutely love to share more on Imagine Cup Junior with everyone today as well. So we know that students love to get hands-on and learn while building out an exciting project. So that's why we have things like Imagine Cup Junior. So this is an AI for Good challenge. It's for 13 to 18-year-olds. And the amazing thing is, again, you don't need to have any experience in technology to take part. All of the things that students need to learn are in the resources that we share as part of the challenge when educators register.
So sounds incredibly interesting. Tell me more. What are the students asked to do?
So all we ask students to do is to think of a problem that they'd like to solve in their community or in the world around them. We ask them to research how this problem impacts the people in their life and then think about how they could solve it with the power of artificial intelligence. They don't actually need to create the app or product or whatever it is that they're dreaming up. They just need to come up with a concept that would use Microsoft's AI services that would help reduce the impact of the problem that they identified. And all we ask them to do is submit their idea in a 10-slide PowerPoint. So it's super easy for students to take part and submit an entry.
So where does educators get started then?
So educators, parents and guardians can register at aka.ms/Imagine Cup Junior. And once they register, they receive access to lots of learning materials. So you can see on this slide here an overview of what they get. And these learning materials support them in running the challenge with their students. We accept individual submissions as well as groups of up to 6. So we're aware with the changing circumstances in education, this might be something that a parent or guardian wants to run with their child at home. And they can do that on their own, or they could work collaboratively with students in their team remotely. But we want to make it as easy as possible for students to take part this year. So there's multiple ways that an educator can run the challenge using the materials that you can see here. And they can do that to best suit their class, their time, their students. So if we think of option 1 as minimal impact on the lesson, it could be in students' own time, and the educator doesn't need to deliver anything. They could get their students to take part in the AI webinar series and regional hackathons. So these are 1-hour-long webinars that will take students through an introduction to AI, through to learning about where AI already exists, and finishing with AI for Good. And then the hackathon is a 3-hour session where students will build out their project. They'll have videos from the Microsoft team to excite them along the way. They'll have timers as they brainstorm through what ideas they want to come up with. And by the end of those webinars and hackathons, they will be ready to submit their project. So a super easy option. The next one, so we think of option 2 as running the Imagine Cup Junior for Beginners kit. This is 5 45-minute modules that an educator could deliver in a lesson. There's accompanying PowerPoint slides, educator guides and student guides. They can also attend the webinars to deepen that learning. Or option 3, we have 5 modules of deep learning. So these are long guides that take you through every element of AI that a student might want to find out more on. And this is also good if you could contextualize it to curriculum. You could look at how you embed that in your lessons over a longer period of time. Or the student guides are also awesome for students to take home, do their reading and refer to as they build out their project and what cognitive services they might want to use as part of what they're submitting. And there's also some other exciting challenges. So there's some Minecraft challenges, the option for them to get hands-on with the Wiki editor and bring their project to life. And there's lots of social toolkits for educators to use as well.
Yeah, well, I love that there are these different ways to deliver these courses and this content on. So if an educator wants to take part, but without any teaching commitment, they can just use the webinars and hackathons, and a student would have enough knowledge to take part in this competition?
Absolutely. And the webinars are really interactive, so they're good fun. Students can ask questions on the chat. We're here to help them. I really encourage all educators, regardless of which option you do, to get your students to join the webinars. They've already started. If you could flick to my next slide, Alex. But they're available recorded. Just go on to the next one as well, sorry. Awesome. So these are the webinars that we've got. The ones, webinar one that have already been, you can still access the recording. So all of these are available at aka.ms/ICJ webinars, and you can go in and get the join links for them, and also for the recordings for the ones that you've missed. So highly encourage everybody to take part in those and get their students excited about learning about artificial intelligence and taking part in Imagine Cup Junior. And if you flick back to my previous slide, Alex, thank you. This is an example of the awesome resources that you get. So the videos in the hackathon kit, the deep learning modules, the beginners kit, and then we also have submission templates. So that 10-slide PowerPoint that I mentioned, it's all there ready for students to use and guide them what they should put on each slide.
That is amazing news, Tina. So educators, get started. Register at aka.ms/Imagine Cup Junior.
Definitely. And don't forget to get started on Microsoft Learn too. Thanks so much for having us today. Thanks, Alex, for a great session. And thank you again for the amazing work that you do with your students.